Saturday 22nd of February and we're in Lydiard Park, Swindon, Wiltshire.
Well, you can guess what we're going to do at Lydiard Park today. Yes, you're right. We're going to do a park run.
So this was our first visit to Lydiard Parkrun, an event which first saw the light of day back in March 2020. It is a 2-lap trail course with really good parking facilities, but bring money to pay or use the app, really good toilets and a lovely cafe to go inside afterwards. Loads of space to warm up on too. Normally you get around 300 to 400 participants and there were well over 400 today, and it was nice to meet a few people who watch the channel. So what we will bring you today is a full point of view of this lovely 2-lap trail course. We'll also throw in a few pieces of information about the history of Lydiard Park and the nearby town of Swindon, and some fun facts too, and we will muse on one perhaps big change we might think is coming in parkrun world that we just picked up a few hints of along the way, so stay tuned for that.
So we're off on Lydiard Park run number 679.
A little bit of tarmac to start, wide enough paths for people to pass, and we shall soon be onto a more off-road surface.
So we're just doing a steady one today as we have the Bolton on the Water 10km race tomorrow.
Yeah, just looking to run anything between about 8 and 9 minute miling to keep the legs fresh for tomorrow's race. So personally, I was very pleased to be doing my 292nd different parkrun course. Soon be heading for that 300 later in the year, just coming up with some ideas about which parkruns I'm going to do between now and then.
So we're now onto the trail section of the course. In actual fact, it makes up the majority of the course, as this is a 2-lap course, as John's already said. And although you will see we come across several puddles, in fact we come across many puddles as we go through the course, it is actually okay to be run in road shoes.
Yep, a solid, gravelly, stony trail all the way around. I think it's purpose built to take in the perimeter of this lovely park.
Yes, the course is mainly flat, although there is a slight rise that you do twice on the 2-lap course.
And on this part of the course, you've got broad views to the left and to the right of you.
So today's conditions were rather good, in fact probably the best conditions we've had all week, but I would imagine on this section of the course, if it was a windy day, you possibly would get quite a lot of either crosswinds or wind in your face.
So the history of Lydiard Park stretches back to medieval times, and it was in private hands until 1943 when the Swindon Corporation built it so it could be enjoyed by the people of that town. One famous visitor here was Queen Elizabeth I, who is reputed to have eaten fish which were pulled from the pond which we walked around later after doing the parkrun. In fact, during the last war it served as a large station hospital for the American 101st Airborne Division and treated several casualties from the D-Day landings in June 1944. And also during the war there were several German prisoners of war kept here, so as you are running around Lydiard Park, think a little bit about the history of the people who lived around here in living memory, living through some more difficult times. So one amusing story we found when doing the research for this video concerned a man called Henry St John who owned Lydiard Hall. He was the 5th Viscount Bolingbroke. Now in the nearby town of Swindon there was a great engine shed where they built trains for the Great Western Railway. Now there was a factory hooter went off at about 5 o'clock every morning, and Viscount Bolingbroke didn't like this because it said it broke up and disturbed his sleep. So he campaigned to have the railway actually take away that hooter, which they did for a while, and then put a different one in with a slightly different pitch which didn't disturb his viscountship. But he was actually ridiculed by the people of Swindon, who nicknamed him Hooter St John forevermore. So the moral of that tale, be careful who you cross.
So you may have noticed a runner just overtake us who had a 500 top on.
Yes, a couple of minutes later and he has disappeared off into the distance. Anyway, unusually for me, just gone through one of those puddles we mentioned earlier. Yeah, unusually for me, I didn't finish top of the sort by most parkruns table you can get when the results come out. Another big puddle there. Yeah, the table that you get when the results come out, because the chap who had passed us, he was actually doing his 643rd parkrun to my 617th, so I was second in that table. But it got us thinking about parkrun milestones and the various t-shirts, vests, buffs, etc. you can get for them.
When we first started doing parkruns, the 50 t-shirt was something that we all strive to get.
And then when Parkrun realised that people were so committed they would run 50, they upped it to 100, and we actually received, I think back in 2012, not only a t-shirt from Adidas, may I mention, but also a jacket too. Lovely items, but clearly that was unsustainable. So I think the next milestone Parkrun went to was 250, because it considered if you're keen enough to run 100, which is like 2 years worth of parkruns, you didn't need any more incentive to continue doing it. So the next marker was set at 250.
So we're just about to enter a small woodland section here. Yes, rather attractive, isn't it? Oh, and back to the parkrun milestone t-shirts. So in the early days of parkrun, just to let everybody know that the t-shirts were actually free, along with the jacket that we got for 100 parkruns, and that was right up to the 250. So parkrun wasn't making any money from those t-shirts. In fact, as John said, it was unsustainable. You couldn't keep giving out t-shirts for free when so many people started to do parkrun.
Yeah, just looping around now to start the second lap of this course. So yeah, the next milestone was then set at 500, as we saw the chap who went by us earlier, which is clearly nearly 10 years of parkruns, and that's without missing any. So they were stretching them out further and further. And the next milestone is going to be 1,000, and I think a man called Darren Wood, he might be in the high 800s, low 900s. Let us know if you know how many parkruns Darren Wood has done, but he's the chap who's done the most parkruns ever, and he'll be closing in on 1,000 soon, which will be the next milestone.
So for several years now, you've had to buy your milestone tops.
And conveniently at this point, Mr. 643 is hoving back into view in front of us. So yeah, we were reading an article in Women's Running magazine the other day, and they were interviewing Kelly Holmes, former double Olympic gold medalist, who is now an ambassador for Brooks and for Parkrun. And she mooted the idea that there should be more regular milestone tops, she said, didn't she? About every 50 runs or so.
So Kelly Holmes believed that having more milestone t-shirts would be very motivational for people.
Now then, I might be putting 2 and 2 together here to make 5, but Kelly Holmes is a Parkrun ambassador. Kelly Holmes is freely speaking in an interview in a magazine about increasing the amount of milestone t-shirts and rewards people can buy, and buy is the key point here. I can foresee a time where perhaps Parkrun wants to generate more revenue, where people would buy 300, 350, 400 t-shirts, and that would be a nice money spinner for Parkrun, so it continue with its mission of growing Parkrun throughout the world and getting more people involved.
So if more parkrun t-shirts were available for every 50 or so runs, would you be motivated by it, and would you buy those t-shirts?
Let us know in the comments below.
It would make sense, wouldn't it, with people having their milestones recognised via a t-shirt, and it would obviously make more money for Parkrun.
So we just thought we'd float that idea out on our vlog here and see what the parkrunners amongst our audience think about that.
So we're well into the second lap of the course now.
Yeah, so back to matters Lydiard Park. So this whole parkland area is 260 acres, and quite apart from the parkrun loop, obviously that we're doing twice, there's lots else to see in Lydiard Park. So after the run we went and explored a church. It's a shame it wasn't open, but I believe it is open on Saturdays from Easter onwards. There was the cafe we went in, there was another cafe we saw, and we had a walk down to a lovely lake, or I said where Queen Elizabeth once ate fish that had been taken from there. So plenty of other things to see and do in Lydiard Park, quite apart from the park run.
So just one point there, John, it's actually a pond, not a lake.
Wow, the pedant out-pedanted there.
So just around this bend, and then you have the incline that I talked about to come, and when you're up there, then you know you're on the road to the finish.
Yeah, a little bit of to and froing on this hill. I think some people struggling at the end of the slope, but come back strong for the final sprint in. So back into the woods and the final 400 yards of Lydiard Park run.
I would say this is actually quite a good time trial course. It's got a good surface, and I would imagine on a dry day that you would actually get quite good times on it.
Yeah, it puts us in mind of one of our favourites up in Nottinghamshire, which is Clumber Park. It being 2 laps in lovely parkland and in the right conditions, quite a good time trial course. And if you want to remember one last thing at this part of the parkrun, at this point, please do not take a right, because you'll end up doing 1.5 Lydiard Park runs. Lovely as it is, you just want to run the 5k. Just rounding into the finishing straight now, and a few people we passed on the hill coming up are now finding fresh legs for that final sprint. And fair play to them, and good luck in chasing what might be a PB, what might be a season's best, or just a good strong finish to get those endorphins pumping for the rest of the day. And one final person, there we go, Mr. 643 parkruns. Well done, sir. Not only do you top the table this week, you also take position number 129 from me in 130th.
Who knows, maybe in a few weeks he'll be buying himself a 650 t-shirt.
So we're both very pleased to have another parkrun ticked off. A wonderful morning out at Lydiard Park. As I say, we did spend quite a lot of time afterwards exploring the parkland and all its history. So if you've enjoyed joining us at Lydiard Parkrun this morning, please give this video a like, and we shall be doing parkruns most weeks, which we shall put up on this channel, as well as races and our own training.
So if you'd like to see those, please subscribe to the channel.
So until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.